cars were a great invention. Everybody likes having a car. Before cars, you would have to like ride horses and stuff, or you'd have to ride a horse to get somewhere, or you'd walk or run. But nowadays, you can just use a car, and then you get to where you want to go pretty quick. But with a car, you have to drive. You have to drive that car. So I'm going to be talking about driving. Driving is like, it can be fun, it can be hard, it can be scary. A lot of people die while driving. A lot of people die. I mean, everybody dies anyway eventually, but a lot of people die driving. Driving is weird because like everybody does it. Something I think about driving is like everybody who's driving has to spend like thousands of dollars on the car. Like it's not cheap to drive, and then you have to pay for gas as well. Like if you were to think about driving to work and think about the gas cost, and you were to think, oh, every time I drive to work it costs like $5, then it would kind of bum you out because you probably don't think of it that way. You just think, oh, it's a car, but it's really like, yeah, you have to pay a certain amount to get from point A to point B. It makes you not want to drive around as much, really. But as I was saying earlier, a lot of people, there's mixed feelings on driving as far as like whether or not it's fun or not. And I think that depends on like who you are, of course, and like what kind of car you have and all that stuff. People who have nice cars tend to like driving, or people who have like sporty cars, or at least that's the idea they're trying to. That's the kind of identity they're trying to like push out. Is that they like driving. If you have a nice car, a sporty car, you can go fast, and that can be fun, like a roller coaster kind of. Roller coaster, you can drive whatever. And then there's motorcycles, of course, which are probably a lot of fun. I've ridden a motorcycle, but only on off-road. So it's probably a lot of fun to ride it on the road, but I wouldn't even know. But people die on those all the time. Like maybe 5,000 a year die on motorcycles in America. I think I looked that up once. It's like 5,000. When I drive, I sometimes it's like, especially if I'm driving somebody else, which is usually the circumstance in which I'm driving, I'm like, okay, this might be a close one. That's what I say. I say, it's okay. I can drive as long as you're okay with like having a close call or dying. And it's a good warning because I have had a lot of close calls. My driving effectiveness varies a lot. Actually, it doesn't even vary a lot. It's like always bad. It's like almost always horrible. It's like my mind is not made for the road. Like I'll run red lights and stuff by accident. 4-way stops are confusing for me. It's like all that stuff, changing lanes, all that stuff, following directions, all that stuff I kind of have trouble with. So it kind of sucks. And it's crazy that everyone is on the road. It's like a lot of these people you have every kind of person on the road, and every car has people in them, which is weird. It's like you see all these people on the road and you're all going. I like to think about I think everybody does this. You look into daily cars and you wonder who they are, and you assume things based on how they drive and what their car looks like, maybe the bumper stickers they have on their car. So that's a whole thing on like the highway and stuff. And then you have trucks, semi-trucks, all that, motorcycles, all that stuff. And then you have parking. You have to park. When you have to park, it can be kind of hard in a parking lot to like make sure not to hit anything, because the way parking lots are, the way a parking lot is like positioned if it's like a full parking lot, it's kind of like squished. So you have to be pretty careful and pretty aware. Make sure you don't get an accident. Most accidents, I think I've heard most accidents, and you've probably heard this too, most accidents take place in parking lots. So yeah. In America, we drive on the right side of the road. In other countries, they drive on the left. So if I go to another country, I probably just won't drive. I don't want to deal with that. That would be really hard to change. It'd feel very uncomfortable. So I probably won't do it. I'll just have a taxi or something. When you're in a car and you are giving directions, I think it's a good idea to be patient and understanding. I do that. I make sure to be patient and understanding when I'm giving directions, because sometimes when I'm driving, people get irritated, when I miss a turn or something. And so it's like, oh, okay. So I try to be like patient, and like, I really just have no right to get mad is what I feel like. And same with when I am driving, I don't get mad at the navigator generally, because I don't have a right to get mad because whatever mistake they make, I've made that same mistake multiple times. So some people become bus drivers. A lot of people are truck drivers and such, taxi drivers. Driving employs a lot of people. Another thing about driving is also it gets people from all walks of life into the DMV. So you have like the DMV, and because everybody has to go there. So anybody who wants to drive has to go there. So you have teenagers getting their licenses. You have like old people taking tests. You have people dealing with like re-education driving courses for maybe getting a DUI or something, or too many tickets. You have all this stuff. It's kind of an equalizer. Everybody goes to the DMV. It's kind of interesting. Even people that are lower income, they still end up on the road, because it's kind of like you gotta have a car these days. Depending on where you live, but generally you're supposed to have a car. It makes your life easier. You can get to places. So I think people are okay with spending thousands of dollars on a car because they look at it like worth it. Like it's an investment in yourself. It makes you better at your job. It makes you better at getting things done. So it's like important. That's all I have to say about driving. Thanks for listening.